We kind of got the same colors, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Reddish, brownish. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hola Causas, bienvenidos a un nuevo video, bienvenidos a mi canal. El día de hoy tengo un video especial, vamos a hablar sobre finanzas. Ahora, ¿cómo llegamos a este contexto? Pues les pregunté por Instagram qué preguntas tienen para hacerles a un asesor financiero. Y aquí estamos. We are with Daniel. Daniel, welcome to my channel. Could you please present yourself to my subscribers?
Okay, so probably I want to start. How did we meet? We met at church, and because of my connection with Mexico, learning to speak Spanish, I thought, oh, okay, he's from Mexico. I would like to go and introduce myself. And then we found out, oh, he's from Peru. So we started to talk, and that's how it came. I didn't realize that he's very interested in finances and economics and stuff like that. So he was asking me if he can have an interview and talk a bit about questions that your community has.
Yes.
So my background, I'm kind of retired, or I don't like to use the word retirement. I prefer to refer to financial independence.
Nice.
Because retirement sounds so final in life, and I don't think in nowadays society you really retire. You just move on to do the next thing in life that you prefer or that you like to do.
Your next chapter.
The next chapter, whatever you want to call that. So working in finance since I was a kid, growing up on a farm. My dad was farmed with maize in South Africa, and sheep, kind of wool sheep and for mutton as well. Learning from him how important it is to understand numbers, to understand taxes, how to work numbers to make sure that you have a profitable business. So it was kind of ingrained in me since I was a child. So for me it was kind of natural. I studied agriculture. That kind of wasn't my kind of soup that I thought that I can make a living from. So I realized I'm probably not going to be a farmer, but I really like the finance side and the economic side, and by the end of the day, taxes side. So I think introducing myself, that's kind of the kind of person I am, and that's how I kind of worked even today when I advise people. Doesn't matter whether it's a business person or what kind of capital project it is, the numbers are the same. You just have to be able to move the physical quantities into numbers and then project it.
When did you arrive to Canada?
In 1997, so what is it, about 27 years ago. Initially to Saskatchewan, and I didn't find much to do there. The little community we landed in was kind of retired people, and that's because I was like 40 years old. So I wasn't ready for retirement. So I realized that's not going to be my future. So I moved to Calgary because I wanted to be in a city that has a direct flights out of the country. Because I said to myself, if I want to get out of Canada for the winter, I don't want to drive to another city and then leave my vehicle there and then fly out. So we looked at Vancouver, we looked at Calgary, we looked at Toronto, but both Toronto and Vancouver is just too busy of cities for me, coming from rural areas in South Africa. So Calgary was more kind of the city of choice then. So we started here, we worked very hard, and we built a business. Calgary has changed in the sense that it grown a lot as a city. The road infrastructure was at some stage a real challenge, but they've done a very good job in developing the road system. I think if you compare Calgary to other cities that I've been to the past few years, it's still a very movable city in terms of public transport as well as having your own vehicle. It is a city where you do need your own vehicle. In terms of economics, yes, Calgary is kind of a boom bust kind of city. With oil and gas, it goes through phases. I mean, we've just been through a phase of a bust. The past 2 years, a boom with this whole thing about so-called climate change and wanting to move away from fossil fuels. The challenges of moving away and then the challenges of still providing fossil fuels to the world. So the other thing about Calgary is that it's a very adaptive city in terms of they realize the challenges and they do pay attention to it. Because I think there's a lot of things changing in the city in terms of realizations they have to stay competitive in terms of economics, in terms of growing the economy, in terms of attracting young people, new people to the city.
To put this bit in context, I'm a new immigrant. So I just immigrated here 1 year ago. When I was in Peru, I was studying this economic thing in Canada to figure it out if this is a good decision to move here. I just realized that people who immigrates before, like 2019, 2020, they had a different Canada than people that are immigrating now, like me, 1 year ago, 2023, 2024. So, would you say is now Canada is a good place to immigrate?
Okay, I'm going to change your question in the sense that what happened with COVID since 2020 changed the playing field, the economic playing field totally. Nobody was expecting this. Nobody realized this is going to happen. Not even, I think, the policymakers and the rulers of the world, probably they did know. Because if you think about it, the middle class has shrunk a lot during the past 3 years. A lot more poor people. The world has become much more expensive, and especially Canada. Then we had this whole thing of influx of refugees, opening of the gates to let a lot of foreign people come in, not realizing that they're just going to flood in, which create a housing shortage, which create medical issues because there's not enough doctors to service all. So the infrastructure has been out of its seams. They cannot support all of it. So yes, I can understand that newcomers coming in since 2020, now it's 2024, it's 4 years later. Yes, I think there's a lot of challenges. So I don't think it's going to be easier for immigrants coming in. It's going to be more difficult. Canada has to do that actually, because they cannot afford to bring more people in. They just don't have the housing, they don't have the medical services, you have to provide pensions, all that kind of stuff, and they just don't have the money for that anymore. That's why when you come in, you have to realize, as a foreigner, you have to be industrious. You have to be able to find what kind of work you can to be able to survive. Otherwise, you have to leave. Go back to your country of origin and just be satisfied with what you have there. That's why I really enjoy listening to you in terms of what you do to keep yourself going. I mean, there's nothing, you don't take no as an answer. And start to do services, because there's a lot of opportunity for services in this city. Whatever you can see. It's a matter of looking for it and finding it.
We are agreed that this context is more challenging. Immigrating now in Canada is more challenging. The credit score here, I realize that it is very important. I mean, it's important in every country. But what would be your tips to a new immigrant? How to increase the credit score?
Okay, so let's sketch a scenario first. Let's say you arrive here without money. Let's say you arrive with a limited amount of money, with no property, all that kind of stuff. So you have a challenge. You have to show to a bank that you have funds to be able to support yourself before they will even be willing to open a bank account for you. Okay. Then the second thing is, how do I get a credit card to get some kind of credit? What we did when we arrived is, and we had the same issue. I don't think it's more difficult. Oh, well, I wouldn't know. But at that stage, it was difficult for us in 1997. Luckily, the bank, Royal Bank at that stage, they did give us a checking account. And I think they even gave us a little credit card with a limited amount. But then somebody said, why don't you go to Canadian Tire? Why don't you go to Future Shop? Future Shop doesn't exist anymore. Why don't you go to Sears, which also doesn't exist anymore? Okay. So I think we got a credit card or something, some card from one of these companies, which we started to use. So yes, it took a while. The big thing about credit score, and I think that's a worldwide thing, it's the same, you have to be able to repay the money that you loan from whoever.
Yes.
As long as you are current on your payments, you in time develop a credit score. What I've seen in Canada, the more credit cards you have, the higher your credit score goes.
Mm-hmm.
As long as if you pay them back every month, that kind of thing. And a good credit score is what, between 600 and 800, something like that.
Good credit score is 900. The best.
900.
The best.
I never had that.
Okay.
But I'm not that concerned about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the credit score that's that important to me. It's more the ability to find a way of credit.
Mm-hmm.
So that at least, because you have unforeseen expenses that you haven't planned for, and you need that flexibility in terms of payments. You can repay it later, that kind of thing. So I understand the importance, yes.
Mm-hmm. So building a credit score is, as a newcomer, will be challenging, but the most important thing is to pay what you spend. It's basic finance.
I think the most important is to find a bank that will listen to you and give you an account.
To trust you. What happened to me is
because when you work, you need somebody. He's going to pay you something.
Yes.
So you need to pay that into an account. Otherwise, it has to go back to Peru, and then every month or every time you do business, you have to transfer funds from Peru back to here, and you're losing a lot of exchange rate money and all that kind of stuff.
Yes. What I did when I arrived here, I talked to the bank, which I work with. They didn't give me this credit card, but I told them I have this amount of money. You can take this as a secure deposit. So I give them this amount of money, and they give me the same amount to the credit limit.
And that's the way they operate.
That's the way I did, and I think it's a good way to start building credit score.
Yeah.
And then another financial entity called me. I can give you this credit card, and I take that credit card. And then another one, and I take that one. So that's the way.
So you're doing it exactly. Yeah, you're doing it.
I'm trying to build it.
Yeah, well, that's the way to do it.
Yes.
It takes time. Yeah.
So the tip is pay what you use.
Yeah.
And don't spend more than 30% of your credit limit.
Yeah.
The top 5 banks here, or the biggest banks here, they always charge you monthly fees. TD Bank, Royal Bank, but in Peru the biggest bank don't charge you that. I don't know why, but there's a person who wrote us in our Instagram account that there are some e-banks that offers you checking accounts like EQ Bank, Simple Financial. Would you recommend these banks as a good option?
I wouldn't say, because I have a Royal Bank account that has got no fees, but I'm not sure now whether it's because I'm banking so long with them. I used to use Simply Financial. Simply Financial is actually a kick-off of CIBC Bank.
Okay.
The way we got onto it is with Superstore, PC Financial.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, I think the account was PC Financial or something like that, and then it changed to Simply. Why we used it is because, they give you a checking account plus a savings account, and then I found, because I was transferring money to Mexico and stuff like that, that their exchange rates were the best. So I used them for a window of about 2 or 3 years. I still have the account. I don't use it anymore because there's other ways now to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, there's more banks. It may be the smaller banks. I'm not sure. I'm not aware of what the other banks do.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I think it's important to have, if you can save on banking fees, yes, of course. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you think newcomers can trust these e-banks, Simple Financial?
Yeah, I mean, for instance, I have a TransferWise account, which I use nowadays. It's actually not a bank. It's an account, a notional account. It doesn't exist physically. It's an online account, and the reason why I like it is the exchange rates is a zero rate. There's no fees. There's transaction fees, which is much lower than what the banks are charging. But also I can hold different currencies. I can hold US currency, I can hold Canadian, Mexican, European in this one account.
Mm-hmm.
And to transfer between these accounts I do online. And it's inexpensive to do that way. So that's why I don't use PC Financial anymore. But if you are moving from another country into Canada, it's very important that you do find an account in Canada, because you need to get paid, and you need to get paid in a Canadian account. So whether it's PC Financial or Simply or Royal Bank or CIBC, whatever, Bank of Montreal, I'm sure there must be more options for free banking.
Answer this question.
Yeah.
We can trust these e-banks that they don't charge you monthly fees. This is a personal question.
Yeah.
I'm 30 years old right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just as I told you, I'm a new immigrant here. How can I build wealth here in Canada if I want to retire at 50 years old or
So
60?
in 20 years from now.
Yeah. 20.
Okay, how do you think you're going to do it?
So I read some books. I have the fortune that I met you. We interchange some ideas.
Yeah.
I start with the budget things. I just control all my expenses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have the budget. I have different accounts on my monthly expenditures, restaurants and those things. I know the number that I have to have as an income to
survive.
And to save money.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I got this point. I got the first save and then expense. I do that too.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I don't have enough money to spend or to invest.
To save. Okay. Yeah.
Because I'm too focused on building my 6 month of
credit. Your 6 months of safe. What do they call it? Your.
So, for example, if my expenses per month is 3,000, for example, I need to have 18,000 to be safe,
to secure yourself. In case something bad happens.
Yes.
Yeah, you get in an accident, or you need to emergency fly back to Peru because your dad died or something like that. Okay, so let's talk about. Okay, I'm gonna do it this way. So while you're working, you probably have 2, let's say 3 sources of income. You work, your wife work, and let's say you have a property with a rental income. But when you retire, you want 7 to 8 sources of income. Okay. So the issue is, if you don't work on it, and if you don't use the avenues, you will not have it. So you will have to work the rest of your life. So let's just think about what savings instruments is available in Canada. So the first thing is, because you're working, you're contributing towards Canada Pension Plan, right?
Yes.
And if you work for an employer, you contribute, I think it's about 4.5%, and your employer contributes 4.5, it's about 9%.
Yes. So by the end of the day, after you've worked for 40 years in Canada, you get what they call 100% Canada Pension Plan. Okay.
And so if you're 30 now, plus 40 is 70. So you will not be able to get 100% CPP.
Okay.
So the way they calculate it, you will get a percentage of 40 years. So you will be working 30 years. So 30 on 40, what is that? About 70%?
Yeah.
So you will get a 70% Canada Pension Plan. Right, so that's the first source. The second source is when you turn 65 in Canada, there's old age security, which will also pay to you. If your income is lower than a certain amount in Canada, there's also supplements they pay you. Maybe a third source. Probably you will not qualify to it because you probably will have saved enough money to earn a higher income. Then the next avenue would be the RSP, the Retirement Savings Plan, which in Canada you can contribute 18% of your taxable income of the previous year up to a certain percentage that you can put in RSP. So that's before tax money.
Okay.
So you get a tax break on it, and when you retire and you get that income, you pay tax on it again. So what are we now? We're now source number 3. So the fourth one would be the tax-free savings account.
Yes.
Okay, which is after tax money, and again, there's a certain amount you can put away. So both you and your wife can do it, and over time, it's a very good source of savings. Then they've done the new thing now that I think Trudeau started this in 2020 or something, the first-time home buyers plan.
Yes, I think I heard that.
Yeah, which is another one you can use. What I like about it, I'll explain it this way. What I like about it is that it's after-tax income. I'm not sure about the amount you can put away annually, but the interest will not be taxed on it. The whatever you gain, the growth that you get
You don't
in
have
the
to pay
account,
tax about that.
you don't have to pay tax on it. And then you can use it to buy your first house. I like that more because there is a program where you can use your RSP money to buy a house.
Okay.
Problem is you have to repay that RSP money into the RSP account. If you don't, you get taxed on it. Kind of thing. Then, are we now at the fifth? Okay. Then, if you have more money, you can open what they call a non-registered account. Because the other accounts is all registered with Revenue Canada. And the Canadian economy is a very registered economy in terms of there's not a lot of the economy that's not registered with Revenue Canada. So non-registered money, what I mean by that, it's after-tax money, and you can save unlimited amounts in that.
Okay.
So the next step would be, at 5. 6 would be if you have your own company. Within the company, you can save money, and then when you retire, you can use that. The next one is to have a second property, a rental income.
Okay.
Okay. So you can go on and on that. The more of those you have, not that everyone will pay you the same amount every month, but at least when you consolidate all that, it pays you a nice income during, let's say, on retirement or financial independence. So the next step is when you're at that stage where you don't work anymore and you receive income from the different sources, it's important that you understand the tax rules. It's actually very important that you get to know the tax rules as soon as possible, especially if you're kind of an entrepreneur and you work in your own business, because you save more by saving taxes, or you earn more by saving taxes than actually investing. Because if you think about investments, the best you can do is about 10%, 10, 12%.
Yeah.
When you save on taxes, you save an immediate 40%. So it's just a no-brainer that you need to understand your tax system. Then when it comes to start to use the different sources of income, the different sources gets taxed different ways. So you will draw from the different sources according to what your tax regime is. Okay? Which again is a total different ballgame. For instance, on RSPs, you will be 100% taxed. On tax-free savings account, you will be 0% taxed. You get it?
Yes.
Okay. And on money invested in a corporation, you get taxed different ways depending on how you take the money out. Because initially in the corporation, you pay, in Alberta, you pay between 11 and 15%. Then when you withdraw it, if you withdraw it as management fees, you're getting 100% tax. If you withdraw it as dividends, you get taxed a different way. Kind of stuff.
Okay, I just get this idea in my head. It's more important to save taxes rather than to try investment. You earn more money saving taxes.
Yeah. And it's an immediate saving.
It is.
Okay. For instance, you run a business. Let's say the income from that business is $100,000 a year. And let's say you have expenses of $60,000. So you will be paying taxes on $40,000. Let's say you earn $100,000 as an employee. Okay, you're paying taxes on all of it, on $100,000.
Yes.
Okay, that's the difference. Okay. Then you can go look at the progressive tax scales in Canada, and then you realize that the more you earn, the more you pay taxes. The highest is 40%.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot. It's a lot if you have to pay 40% of your income towards taxes, man.
Yeah. Well, would you say it's better to have your own house, or give another purpose of this money to invest in the stocks, for example?
Okay, that's an age-old question. And I'm talking personal experience. I made more money out of buying property than investing
in stocks.
Yeah, invest in stocks. There's a few things involved here. The first thing is you need a deposit. You need to save up some money to be able to buy a house. Okay. The second thing involved is that it forces you to repay that loan. So this you pay. Okay. The normal situation is when you rent a property, the rental is normally less expensive than the mortgage on it. But nowadays, with rent so high, it may be even the same. I haven't done the calculations yet. But I've made more money in doing that. It forces you to save. So you build a capital base by the end of the day. So your first property, you probably only have, let's say, $50,000 or $60,000 to put as deposit. The second house you buy, suddenly the property has grown in value. Again, you have to be savvy about where you buy that property. Because if you buy in a small town that's not going to grow, you will not be able to sell the house.
Yes.
That kind of thing. So you have to be kind of think about where you want to invest that money in. It's the same as in the stock market. If you put it in bonds, you earn a certain income. If you put it in large cap stocks, you earn an income. Put it in technology, you earn a certain income. So it's the same with property. You have to think about where you buy it, what you buy, what is the. What I always tell people, when you take a decision, an investment decision, that is not the important decision. The important decision is the exit strategy. Where am I going with this? How am I going to get rid of this? And what will it be worth when I sell it? Whether it's a property or an investment or whatever I've worked with this this scenario many times in my life. Business people in front of me that has money, they have to decide what to invest it in. So again, scenario analysis, try to determine the future, which is sometimes just impossible.
I'm talking about properties. It is true that if it's your first property, you only pay 5% as a down payment of the value.
Okay.
And in the second one, it's 20%.
Okay. No. Okay. So there's CMHC. There's insurance. There's property insurance in Canada. CMHC, which you can any person that buys a property can decide whether he wants to take that or not. If you do a 20% down payment on a property, you do not have to buy the CMHC insurance. But if you pay less than that, it's mandatory, and it doesn't matter. Insurance. Yeah, it doesn't matter whether it's your first, second, or third, or fourth property. The fee is pretty high. It's $10,000 to $14,000. I don't know the percentage. I don't know, but I know it's quite an amount, and they add it to the mortgage, so it just increased the mortgage payment you pay monthly. So it's more preferential to have the 20% down payment, so that you don't have to add that other $14,000 or $15,000 to the property, which means you have to save a little longer to get the 20%.
Yeah, if you don't pay the 20% as a down payment, you have to pay the insurance, and that will affect your cash flow.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I see. I was writing some notes here.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, we talk about properties. We talk about the difference, or if it's benefits to invest in a property or stocks. But okay, let's back to my situation. Okay, how I can start investing in Canada? How?
Well, you have to have surplus. You can only invest if you have money lying there that you want to invest.
For example, let's say to make this example easy.
Yeah.
If I have per month $100 to invest,
which is a good idea.
To invest, where I can invest this?
What I do, we talked about that you need that security, that amount of money that you need to have immediately available. What we've been doing, even in South Africa, but here in Canada, is you have your checking account, you have your Visa accounts, your credit card accounts, and you attach to that a mutual fund account.
Okay.
Right. So online you can transfer money, because if you think about it, savings accounts here 0.9%, 0.1%. You don't really earn anything on a savings account in Canada. I think Simply Financial Assets think they pay you 2% or something like that.
Yes.
So that's why it's preferential for some people. The problem is you want that amount of money to be fluid, so that if you need it, you can move it into your checking account and use it to pay stuff. Once you've done that 3 or 6 months kind of security account, you're talking about that money you want to invest. Again, I do a mutual fund account, and then I would do you can do ETFs, all that kind of stuff, but then you would start an RSP. Okay. So you've been here for a year. You must have built some kind of what they call RSP room.
Yes.
Yeah. So that RSP room, let's say it's $10,000 or whatever, you would start to put that $100 a month in there.
The RSP.
in the RSP. That I would say that's the first one
Okay.
that you want to do, because you're getting a tax break on that. Okay, so
Mhm.
let's say the taxes that you pay is 15% on your salary. So you're saving. You can add 15% to the $100. That's your saving.
Mhm.
Okay, so 100 plus 115 accumulate, and then you put it in an account. I tend to be kind of a conservative investor.
Yeah.
So I still put that money in what they call an income fund, which gives you, it's low risk. It gives you depending on the year, 5 to 7% a year.
Mhm.
But you can also decide, because this is a long-term investment, you're going to invest it for 30 to 40 years before you start to use it.
Mhm.
You know, if you start as a small investor, probably will be difficult to find an advisor to advise you. So you probably need to read up a bit more. But the longer the investment, the longer the time horizon of the investment, the more risky you are prepared
Mhm.
to kind of the investment choice you make. So ETFs that invest in technology or whatever you think at that stage is going to give you the bigger growth.
Mhm.
At this stage, it's technology. It looks like with this whole artificial intelligence and, I mean, the Googles and all that kind of stuff, it will be good to invest in technology for the long term.
Okay. So to recap the idea, if you are a newcomer, first you need to find an income. It's basic. You need an income. You need to save money. This is what I did. You need to save money. You need to build your 6 month. You say 6 months is good?
Or 6 months is too much.
It's too much.
I would say 3 months.
3 months. Or
so if your expenses is $3,000 a month, so it's $9,000, and that can be. You don't need to have that in cash. You can have it, because the other thing normally the banks will give you after, let's say, 6 months, is you go to the bank, you ask them for what they call an unsecured line of credit.
Unsecured line of credit.
Yeah, which is normally about $10,000. You will never use it, but you have it, and the interest rate on that will be higher, like 7 or 8%. You use it only when there's a crisis. Okay.
Unsecured?
Unsecured. So it's a line of credit, but normally with a line of credit, you need to provide security, like what you did.
Okay.
You put $10,000 down, and they give you a $10,000 credit line.
Okay.
Okay. So this is what they call an unsecured line of credit. I have it, for instance, on my business account. I have it on my personal account. I've never used it. Okay. But it's for that time that wow, I have a problem. I lost my job, that kind of stuff, or this month the income is low, that kind of thing. You use it for a month or two, you repay it, and you go on again.
Okay.
So that helps you with, then that 10,000 is another 3 months. So by the end of the day, yes, you do have 6 months of staying power in case you run out of income. But you don't need to save 6 months of cash to as a survival, unless you are a very uncertain person of your abilities, or there's disability in the family, stuff like that, that you need a bigger cash amount.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to build your safety net. Safety net.
That's probably the word I was looking for. Your safety net. Yeah.
Your safety net.
Yeah.
And then after that, you can start thinking about investing.
Yeah, and then the priority, or the way to invest, first you fill up your RSP room.
Fill the RSP.
You fill the room.
I did it wrong, because I started investing in mutual funds,
but
with the TFSA.
Okay, so nothing wrong with that. You just started a different angle, but RSPs, tax-free savings account, I would actually, with this new homeowners plan, I would do RSPs, first-time home buyers plan, tax-free savings account. And that's the way I would do it now.
Okay.
Because if you want to buy a house, you want to buy it as soon as possible. And I wouldn't want to use my RSP money for a deposit, down payment deposit. What I always advised people, I say RSP first, and the tax savings you get from the RSP, you put in your tax-free savings account, because it's money is already there.
Yes.
Savings account, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Nice move.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, those are the basic ideas. If you are a newcomer, if you want to start building wealth, I think we made a good video with a good content. And if you want, I'm going to ask you: Are you able to make a second video if people ask to another?
Yeah, I'm always prepared. I mean, we are here to help each other. So
nice. Thanks, Daniel.
Okay.
So if you ask a more video like this, just comments, just do comment. I will read your comments. And yes, thank you for watching us. Thank you, Daniel, for your time.
It's a pleasure. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.